Let's get it.
The 1950s, a time of coonskin caps, sock hops, and booth stuffing. From beatniks to diners, let's dive into some forgotten fads that made this decade unforgettable. Number 25, coonskin caps. The coonskin cap became one of the most iconic fashion fads of the 1950s. Largely due to the overwhelming success of Disney's 1954 miniseries Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. Actor Fess Parker, who portrayed the legendary frontiersman, donned the distinctive cap, sparking a nationwide craze. Almost overnight, children across America wanted to emulate their hero, fueling a massive demand for coonskin caps. The headgear became a symbol of adventure and rugged individualism, capturing the imaginations of young boys who fantasized about exploring the wilderness just like Davy Crockett. Merchandising for the coonskin cap was unprecedented, with sales reportedly reaching $100 million, an astronomical figure for the time. The fad extended beyond the caps themselves, leading to a wide range of Crockett-themed toys, lunchboxes, and even songs that celebrated the frontier spirit. The cap not only solidified Fess Parker's portrayal of Crockett as a cultural icon, but also demonstrated the power of television in shaping consumer trends.
This right across here open, and then when you get that sewed together, then you're going to have to flip it.
For many, the coonskin cap wasn't just a piece of clothing, it was a nostalgic emblem of childhood and the height of the 1950s pop culture. Today, it remains a reminder of the post-war era's fascination with American history and folklore. Number 24, telephone booth stuffing. It became a symbol of youthful rebellion and creativity during the 1950s, a decade when teenagers were eager to push the boundaries of conventional behavior. It wasn't just a random act, it became a spectacle, with students trying to outdo each other by fitting more and more people into a single phone booth. Photos of tightly packed groups crammed into telephone booths quickly became popular in newspapers and magazines, further fueling the fad. It was a playful, harmless activity that embodied the carefree spirit of the era. However, like many trends, its popularity was short-lived. By the late 1950s, interest in telephone booth stuffing began to fade, and a new trend, hunkering, which involves squatting low to the ground in a crouching position, took its place. Nevertheless, telephone booth stuffing remains a quirky reminder of the innovative and spontaneous spirit of the 1950s youth culture. Number 23, 3D movies. In the 1950s, the 3D movie experience was nothing short of magical. Imagine walking into a theater, grabbing your red and blue paper glasses, and being transported into a world where objects seem to leap off the screen.
Walk with care. Bedamo loses faith. He will turn against you should you fail.
I can handle Big B.
This new technology captivated audiences, offering a thrilling, immersive experience that made going to the movies even more exciting. The rise of 3D movies came as Hollywood sought to combat the growing popularity of television. Filmmakers wanted to create something that TV simply couldn't replicate, and they succeeded. For a while, films like House of Wax, 1953, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954, were some of the earliest successes in 3D format, drawing in huge crowds eager to experience the sensation of objects flying towards them. Though the technology was groundbreaking, 3D movies in the 1950s had their limitations. The glasses were uncomfortable, and the visual effects could sometimes cause headaches or discomfort. But none of that mattered back then. Audiences were captivated by the novelty, and it gave the post-war generation something new and exciting to enjoy on their weekend outings. While 3D technology has vastly improved today, those early films hold a special place in the hearts of those who experienced them firsthand. Number 22, Beatniks. The Beatnik culture emerged in the 1950s as a counterculture movement that rejected mainstream values and championed artistic expression. Influenced by the writings of Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, and other Beatnik generation authors, Beatniks embraced a lifestyle of nonconformity, intellectualism, and spiritual exploration.
I got my brand on you.
They frequented coffee houses, wore black turtlenecks and berets, and were often seen with a cigarette in one hand and a book of poetry in the other. At its core, the Beatnik movement was a rebellion against the materialism and conservatism of post-war America. Beatniks rejected the suburban ideal of settling down, raising a family, and working a 9-to-5 job. Instead, they sought deeper meaning through literature, art, and music, particularly jazz. They also experimented with spirituality, often turning to Eastern philosophies like Zen Buddhism to find inner peace in a world that they viewed as shallow. Though their heyday was brief, Beatniks left a lasting impact on American culture. They paved the way for the counterculture movements of the 1960s and influenced the rise of hippies, free thinking, and alternative lifestyles. Today, the image of the Beatnik remains a symbol of rebellion, creativity, and a yearning for a deeper, more authentic experience. Number 21. Drive-in theaters. There was nothing quite like the magic of a drive-in theater in the 1950s. With the rise of car culture, drive-ins became a go-to spot for families, friends, and especially young couples looking for a night of entertainment. For the price of a ticket, you could pull up your car, grab some popcorn, and watch the latest flick from the comfort of your own vehicle. Drive-ins were more than just movie theaters, they were social hubs.
But despite this initial success, the first holes were already showing up in the drive-in model. The first being Spate,
where people gathered to enjoy more than just the film. Some came for the movie, others came for the company, and let's be honest, many came for a little privacy. Teens would cozy up in the back seat of their parents' car, while families spread blankets on the hood of the car, enjoying a night under the stars. These theaters were accessible and fun, offering a perfect blend of cinema and the outdoors. As the sun set, the screen would light up, and for the next 2 hours, everyone was glued to the action on screen. From sci-fi thrillers to romantic comedies, drive-ins had it all. While the number of drive-ins has dwindled over the years, their legacy lives on in pop culture and the memories of those who experienced this quintessential 1950s pastime. Number 20. Gelatin molds. When it comes to food fads, nothing says 1950s quite like the gelatin molds. These colorful, wiggly creations were the highlight of any dinner party or family gathering. Whether it was a Jell-O salad packed with fruits and vegetables, or a dessert version with whipped cream and marshmallows, gelatin molds were seen as the epitome of culinary sophistication. In the post-war era, convenience foods were on the rise, and gelatin was one of the most versatile ingredients in the kitchen. It could be sweet, savory, or even both at the same time. Hostesses prided themselves on their ability to create elaborate gelatin molds, using intricate designs and layers of color.
We have to do something in between. Yeah, no, not 40 minutes. We'll see you as soon as we're done with this, and then we'll see you. There's another step? There's a step in between. We have to make the other layer.
It wasn't just food, it was art. While the idea of eating a lime Jell-O salad with shredded carrots may seem odd today, it was the height of innovation back then. Gelatin molds were a way to show off creativity in the kitchen while making use of the latest food technology. Though this culinary fad has long since faded, the sight of a vintage gelatin mold still brings back memories of family gatherings and holiday dinners from the 1950s. Number 19. Davy Crockett-inspired coonskin caps. In the 1950s, thanks to the popularity of the Disney series Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, the coonskin cap became a must-have fashion accessory for boys across America. Worn by the show's hero, played by Fess Parker, the cap became a symbol of adventure, rugged individualism, and frontier spirit. Every kid wanted to be like Davy Crockett, the legendary folk hero who fought at the Alamo, and the coonskin cap was the first step in that transformation. The coonskin cap wasn't just a hat, it was a badge of honor. Kids would wear them to school, while playing outside, or even while watching the next episode of the series. The cap, made from raccoon fur, or a synthetic version, had a long tail hanging down the back, making it instantly recognizable. This fad wasn't just about fashion, it was about imagination. Kids would play for hours, pretending to explore the wilderness, fight off the bad guys, and live the life of a frontiersman. The coonskin cap became so popular that it sold millions in just a few years, cementing its place as one of the most iconic accessories of the 1950s. Number 18, soda fountains. The soda fountain was the social hub of the 1950s. Located in drugstores, diners, and corner stores, soda fountains served as a meeting place for teens and adults alike. You'd go in, grab a seat at the counter, and order a cherry cola, milkshake, or ice cream float. It was more than just a place to get a drink. It was where friendships were made, dates were had, and afternoons were spent lounging with friends. Soda fountains had their own unique charm, too. The clink of glass bottles, the hiss of carbonated water being mixed with flavored syrup, and the sweet smell of ice cream made it a sensory experience for all. It was here that the soda jerk, the person behind the counter, would whip up all sorts of delicious concoctions, from root beer floats to banana splits. In an era before fast food chains dominated the landscape, soda fountains were the go-to spot for a quick bite and a refreshing drink. Whether you were out with friends or grabbing a treat after school, the soda fountain was the place to be. Though they have mostly disappeared, their memory lives on as a symbol of simpler times when the local soda shop was the heart of the community. Number 17, Carhops. Carhops were an integral part of the dining experience at drive-in restaurants. These servers would bring food directly to customers in their cars.
Just like it was back in the day, servers are running around the parking lot delivering all those burgers and fries.
Often on roller skates, making the experience both convenient and entertaining. The rise of car culture in the post-war America fueled the popularity of drive-ins, where families and teenagers alike would pull up, place their orders, and enjoy a meal without ever leaving their vehicles. Carhops became a symbol of the fast-paced, fun-loving spirit of the 1950s. Dressed in bright uniforms and often sporting roller skates, they would zip between cars, balancing trays of burgers, fries, and milkshakes. The sight of a Carhop skating towards your vehicle, tray in hand, was enough to get anyone excited for their meal. For teens cruising around in their hot rods, the drive-in and its Carhops were the perfect place to hang out. It wasn't just about the food. It was about the experience. Whether you were on a date or just grabbing a snack with friends, Carhops added an extra layer of fun to the dining experience. Though Carhops have mostly disappeared with the rise of modern fast food chains, their memory remains a cherished part of 1950s Americana. Number 16, hula hoops. The hula hoop was one of the most beloved toys of the 1950s, capturing the imagination of kids and adults alike. Simple in design, just a plastic hoop, it became a nationwide craze when it was mass-produced in 1958 by the Wham-O Toy Company. People would spin the hula hoop around their waist, hips, arms, and neck.
Wham-O co-founders Richard Nur and Arthur Mellon. They sold 10 million hoops before they finally got around to patenting it,
competing to see who could keep it going the longest or perform the most tricks. What made the hula hoop so special was its accessibility. It didn't require batteries, didn't have complicated rules, and could be enjoyed alone or with friends. You could see kids on every block swinging their hips and trying to keep their hula hoops from falling to the ground. It wasn't just kids, though. Adults got in on the action, too. In parks and backyards across America, people of all ages were spinning hoops for hours on end. The hula hoop was more than just a toy. It became a cultural phenomenon. It was featured on TV shows, in advertisements, and even in fitness routines. Though its popularity eventually waned, the hula hoop remains one of the most iconic fads of the 1950s, a reminder of a time when simpler joys ruled the day. Number 15, saddle shoes. When it comes to the 1950s fashion, nothing screams prep school chic quite like saddle shoes. These black and white leather shoes were a staple in every teenager's closet, especially girls. With their classic two-tone design and distinctive saddle of contrasting leather across the top, saddle shoes were the perfect blend of sporty and stylish. Whether you were heading to school, a sock hop, or the malt shop, these shoes were a must. Back then, it wasn't just about wearing them, it was about keeping them spotless.
Tennis game or like riding a bike or whatever it is they did in those shoes back in the 40s.
Girls would polish their saddle shoes to a gleaming shine, often carrying shoe polish in their purses just in case a scuff appeared. Paired with poodle skirts or rolled-up jeans, saddle shoes became the go-to footwear for any fashionable teen. Saddle shoes weren't just about looking good, they were about fitting in with the in crowd. If you wore them, you were in the know. Today they're a rare find, but back in the day, there was nothing quite like the tap of saddle shoes on the school floor, signaling you were ready to conquer the day in style. Number 14, telephone booth stuffing. Here's a forgotten fad that screams, why did we do that? Telephone booth stuffing. In the 1950s, young people found entertainment in the most unusual ways, and one of them was cramming as many bodies as possible into a telephone booth. It was the ultimate test of balance, flexibility, and teamwork. The record? Over 20 people squeezed into one tiny booth. This fad started out as a simple prank, but soon it became a nationwide obsession. Colleges held competitions, and photos of these human sardine cans graced newspapers across the country. The goal was to stuff as many bodies as possible into the booth without breaking the glass or collapsing from lack of space. The best part? It wasn't about winning a prize. It was about the sheer absurdity and the bragging rights.
It was also seen as a way to bring people together and have a good time. The activity was particularly appealing to young people.
Looking back, it's hard to understand the appeal though, but back in the 1950s, telephone booth stuffing was the ultimate thrill. It was spontaneous, goofy, and exactly the kind of carefree fun that defined the era. Of course, with the disappearance of phone booths, this fad has vanished, but the bizarre memories live on. Number 13, Letterman jackets. The Letterman jacket wasn't just a piece of clothing, it was a symbol of achievement and school pride. If you were a star athlete in the 1950s, earning your Letterman jacket was the ultimate badge of honor. These jackets, typically made of wool with leather sleeves, featured a large varsity letter sewn onto the chest, representing your school's name or mascot. For boys, wearing a Letterman jacket signified that you were at the top of the social hierarchy. You were part of the team, and everyone knew it. Girls would sometimes wear their boyfriend's jacket as a sign of being claimed, which was a huge deal in high school dating culture. It was a status symbol, pure and simple. Getting a Letterman jacket wasn't easy. You had to earn it through hard work on the field, the court, or the track. It represented hours of practice, dedication, and school spirit. Though Letterman jackets have faded from mainstream fashion, they're still worn with pride by high school athletes across the country.
Now, a couple years later, Raf had his own take on the varsity jacket. It was part of its autumn and winter 2002 collection, the Virginia Creeper.
A nostalgic nod to a tradition that started in the 1950s. Number 12, cat-eye glasses. If there's one accessory that screams 1950s style, it's cat-eye glasses. These chic wingtip frames were the go-to choice for fashionable women and even some daring men. With their upswept corners, cat-eye glasses added a touch of glamour and sass to any outfit. Popularized by movie stars like Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn, these frames became synonymous with a polished, sophisticated look. Back then, glasses were not just a necessity for better vision, they were a fashion statement. The exaggerated shape of cat-eye glasses highlighted a woman's femininity and gave her an air of mystery and confidence. They came in all colors and designs, from simple black frames to ones encrusted with rhinestones, making them perfect for any occasion. The bold design wasn't just for looks, it was about standing out and embracing individuality. Women who wore these glasses were making a statement that they weren't afraid to be a little bold, a little different. Though the style fell out of fashion in the 1960s, cat-eye glasses have seen a resurgence in recent years, proving that good fashion never truly fades away. Number 11, Jell-O molds. Nothing says 1950s dinner party quite like a towering Jell-O mold.
It's a lot better than the chicken one.
That's not the worst thing I've ever had,
No.
I'll have to say.
This culinary trend was all the rage back in the day, and the more elaborate the mold, the better. Whether it was lime Jell-O with fruit suspended inside or a savory gelatin dish filled with vegetables and meats, these wobbly, colorful creations were considered the height of culinary sophistication. Jell-O molds were a hostess's secret weapon. Not only were they easy to make, but they could be prepared in advance. leaving more time for mingling with guests. These gelatin-based dishes became a symbol of post-war innovation as housewives embraced convenience foods that allowed them to create elaborate-looking meals with minimal effort. But it wasn't just about the ease. Jell-O molds were also about creativity. There was no limit to what you could mix into the gelatin, and every family had their own unique twist on the dish. Today, the sight of a vintage Jell-O mold may elicit some giggles, but back in the 1950s, it was a must-have at any proper dinner gathering. Number 10, fuzzy dice. If you owned a car in the 1950s, there's a good chance you had a pair of fuzzy dice hanging from the rear view mirror. These soft, oversized dice were the ultimate car accessory for the cool cats of the era. Whether you were cruising around town or parked at a drive-in movie, having fuzzy dice swinging from your mirror signaled that you were part of the car culture of the 50s. Fuzzy dice didn't just look cool, they were a symbol of luck and rebellion.
Displaying the dice meant the driver was ready and willing to be in the dangerous and unregulated world of street racing.
The trend is thought to have originated with World War II pilots who hung dice in their cockpits for good luck. After the war, the tradition was adapted by car enthusiasts who wanted to bring that same sense of daring and adventure to their own rides. Though fuzzy dice are mostly a thing of the past, their quirky charm remains a nostalgic reminder of the days when cars weren't just a mode of transportation, but an extension of your personality. Today, you might still spot them in a vintage car, swinging gently with every turn. Number 9, sideburns. The 1950s were a time of classic, slicked-back hairstyles, but no rock and roll look was complete without sideburns. Popularized by legends like Elvis Presley, sideburns became an essential part of the rebellious, greaser style that dominated the era. Whether they were neatly trimmed or left to grow long and wild, sideburns added an extra touch of rugged coolness to any guy's look. Sideburns represented a rejection of the clean-cut, conservative style of the previous generation. If you had sideburns, you were making a statement that you were different, that you had a little bit of an edge. Paired with a DA haircut and a leather jacket, sideburns helped define the image of the 1950s bad boy. While facial hair has come in and out of style over the years, sideburns hold a special place in the history of men's grooming.
Sideburns have gone in and out of style for centuries. Join the march of time by growing your own. You will need.
They've been resurrected in many different forms, but the classic 1950s sideburn will always be remembered as the ultimate symbol of youthful rebellion. Number 8, holy hours. The holy hour, a moment of calm and reflection in the often bustling life of a 1950s family. Back then, Catholic families across America set aside time every week to observe holy hour, usually spent in quiet prayer or attending special church services. This was a time when religious faith was a central part of daily life, and holy hours were an essential tradition. Families would gather in their living rooms or local churches, kneeling together in prayer. It wasn't just about religious devotion either. It was also a moment to slow down and reconnect with each other and their faith. Some parishes even had community holy hours, where the whole town would come together. While this tradition might seem quaint today, it provided a much-needed break from the hustle and bustle of the day. Holy hours were a time for introspection, family bonding, and spiritual renewal. In today's fast-paced world, the idea of a weekly holy hour might feel outdated, but for a 1950s family, it was a cherished and grounding part of their life. Number 7, the Mickey Mouse Club and Mouseketeers. In the 1950s, kids everywhere raced home from school to catch the Mickey Mouse Club on TV. It wasn't just a show, it was a phenomenon. Every episode featured a group of all-American kids known as the Mouseketeers, singing, dancing, and spreading Disney's magic to living rooms across America.
It won an Ottawa talent show, Homegrown Cafe, and several dance competitions in the United States as well.
And let's not forget the catchy theme song, M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. The Mouseketeers were the ultimate role models for kids. They were clean-cut, talented, and full of energy. making everyone want to join the fun. Wearing their iconic mouse ears and sweaters with their names stitched on them, they created a sense of belonging and camaraderie that kids couldn't resist. Stars like Annette Funicello became household names, and every kid wanted to be a part of the Mickey Mouse Club. This wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural movement, from branded merchandise to fan clubs. The Mickey Mouse Club became an essential part of 1950s childhood. While TV shows come and go, the legacy of the Mouseketeers lives on, a symbol of a simpler time when after-school entertainment was as wholesome as it was exciting. Number 6. The Kraus-Weber test. The Kraus-Weber test, also known as the Minimal Muscular Fitness Test, gained significant attention in the 1950s during the Cold War era. Developed to measure the physical fitness of the school-aged children, the test was designed to assess basic strength and flexibility across 6 simple exercises. The results were alarming for the United States. 58% of American children failed the test, compared to only 8% of European children. This stark contrast raised concerns about the declining fitness levels.
And that will be your client's starting point. Next, you'll explain to them that you'll take 2 small movements, and on the third,
among American youth, particularly at a time when global competition, including the Cold War, was intensifying. The test included activities such as sit-ups, leg lifts, and back extensions, and it emphasized the need for muscular strength and flexibility, which were considered essential for overall health and readiness. When fitness pioneer Bonnie Pruden presented these findings to President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1955, it shocked the nation. Eisenhower responded by establishing the President's Council on Youth Fitness in 1956, aiming to address this issue at a national level. Schools across the U.S. began implementing more rigorous physical education programs, and media coverage of the test, often referred to as the report that shocked the president, further highlighted the need for improved fitness among American children. The Kraus-Weber test played a pivotal role in shaping fitness education in the United States in the 1950s. Number 5. Cabbage soup diet. The cabbage soup diet was one of the most notable fad diets of the 1950s. Promising quick weight loss by consuming nothing but cabbage soup for 7 days. The diet's simplicity and the allure of shedding pounds rapidly made it a popular choice for many looking to slim down. But it came at the cost of proper nutrition. The basic recipe involved cabbage.
So we have 6 large green onions, 2 green peppers, 1 or 2 cans of tomatoes,
vegetables, water, and dry onion soup mix. And participants were encouraged to eat as much of the soup as they wanted throughout the day. While the diet was promoted as an easy way to lose weight quickly, it was widely criticized by health professionals for being nutritionally unbalanced. The cabbage soup diet severely restricted caloric intake and lacked essential nutrients like protein, healthy fats, and vitamins, making it unsustainable in the long term. Although some people did experience short-term weight loss, it was primarily due to water loss rather than fat reduction, and most individuals quickly regained the weight after returning to their regular eating habits. Despite its drawbacks, the cabbage soup diet remained a popular trend in the 1950s and later resurfaced in various forms throughout the decades, a testament to the ongoing appeal of quick-fix weight loss solutions. Number 4. Ayds Reducing Plan Candy. The Ayds Reducing Plan Candy was a popular weight loss product in the 1950s, marketed as an easy way to lose weight without the need for dieting or exercise. Promising users they could shed up to 10 pounds in just 5 days, the candy appealed to those seeking quick results with minimal effort. Ayds contained benzocaine, a numbing agent that was believed to reduce taste sensations.
This delicious tasting candy taken with a hot drink before meals helps you curb your appetite. You eat less because you want less,
thereby curbing appetite and discouraging overeating. Later, the active ingredient was changed to phenylpropranololamine, an appetite suppressant still in use in some medications today. The product was heavily promoted through aggressive advertising campaigns, featuring endorsements from well-known Hollywood celebrities such as Bob Hope, Ann Sheridan, and Tyrone Power. These famous figures helped fuel the candy's popularity, making it a household name in weight loss circles. Ayds was not only marketed as an easy solution to weight loss, but also as a glamorous, celebrity-approved product. However, despite its initial success, AYDS eventually fell out of favor, particularly in the 1980s, when the AIDS epidemic became widespread. The unfortunate similarity in pronunciation between the product and the disease led to a sharp decline in sales, and the candy was eventually discontinued. Number 3. Tail fins. One of the most iconic automotive design trends of the 1950s was the addition of large, sweeping tail fins. Popularized by American car manufacturers like Cadillac and Chevrolet, these fins were meant to symbolize modernity and progress, inspired by the jet age. Tail fins became a status symbol and a signature design feature of luxury cars during the decade.
In case after case, reports show pounds lost by men and women alike. And once you've reduced, Ayds helps you control your weight.
Number 2. Two-tone paint jobs. In the 1950s, many cars featured bold, contrasting two-tone paint schemes. This trend allowed for greater personalization and added flair, with popular combinations including pastel colors like pink and turquoise. It gave cars a more stylish, eye-catching appearance, which appealed to the growing consumer culture of the post-war era. Number 1. Car hopping, hydraulics. Car hopping, also known as hydraulic suspension, became a popular trend in the late 1950s. This modification allowed cars to be raised or lowered at the push of a button, making them hop in the air. Although the trend became more closely associated with lowrider culture in the 1960s, its origin can be traced back to the experimentation with cars in the 1950s. These were the 25 1950s fads that we all miss. Comment below if you think we missed something. Subscribe to our channel and like the video.